What do we think
Maybe.
Biden's going to do about crypto? I think it's more than likely that he's going to try and clamp down on it some way.
Maybe, but I wonder if they're just going to do FedCoin. You know, they've been talking about the Federal Reserve is going to make their own crypto, and it was interesting. I was talking to somebody about how banking works anyway, because like your bank account, there's no real dollars there. The bank doesn't have the cash. If everybody went to the bank right now and asked for their cash, they'd be like, that cash doesn't exist. It's in your account. You can spend it. You can't physically hold it. So it's a really interesting way to avoid a potential run on the banks, for instance, right? Back in the day, people went to the banks and like, give me my money because they were worried the bank loaned too much out and there wouldn't be any available. But now the bank can be like, we can't give you your money, but here's a debit card that still works. You can still buy things with it because your money is all digital. And I was talking to someone and they said, I was like, how do they track whether or not their money's actually there? It's just, it's like an archaic kind of blockchain, essentially, that institutions will track money went from this account to this account. And here's the account numbers. And it goes to that account to this account. And there's a ledger showing all the transactions that were made. And that's it. No actual exchange of currency, no hard exchange of any physical object. So then someone makes the blockchain and it's like they kind of just decentralize what the banks were already doing.
Some centralized digital currencies have real value. In Venezuela, a lot of people bought and still buy World of Warcraft gold because it was more stable and valuable than the Venezuelan
But still,
currency.
even to this day, because you can buy gold now on World of Warcraft.
Well, that's the thing. They were either farming the gold in World of Warcraft or they were like transferring their currency to World of Warcraft gold because World of Warcraft gold was less likely to inflate than Venezuelan bolivars.
Yeah, but World of Warcraft gold inflated like crazy.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying it's stable, but it was more stable for a time than Venezuela's currency.
Wow. Yeah, that's a kind of that's a very serious indictment of Venezuela. But I wonder when we get hit by that. I was reading one article where there's some big investor guy said 30% market hit at the end of the year.
Of this year?
Yeah, 30%. So I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do, but I'm going to buy a bunch of Ethereum.
Me too.
Yeah.
Big
Bitcoin.
Ethereum update in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying they're not going to have mining costs anymore?
Yeah,
gas
so they're
fees?
gonna change the way gas fees work. So I don't know all of the details, but it's going to stop going to miners. Miners are not happy about this, and it's going to instead some of it will be burned with every transaction. So it's going to make Ethereum more deflationary.
Oh, so instead of paying the miners, you're paying less of a fee, but the fee is actually just being... That's very interesting.
But the bottom line is they're planning it to make gas fees less wild than they are today.
If you can build a way to naturally deflate currency into the currency, that's how you avoid inflation, obviously.
It just guarantees that it becomes more and more valuable over time because there's less of it.
Or doesn't become less valuable, however you want to look at it.
That's really weird. I mean, I do think that there's a possibility that Doge shows us the system is collapsing as well, in that there are people who got rich
big time
for no reason. For a meme. It's a meme economy. It's almost like labor is essentially meaningless. Think about it this way. Imagine you're a contractor. I'm sure a lot of people watching are contractors. You build pole barns or something or small structures. And you're like, it's going to cost, $10,000 for this, simple steel garage you wanted. And the guy goes, hold on, let me sell some Doge. Here you go, man. And then you're like, you should give me 10 grand to build this thing for you. And you were like, you're selling Doge. What does that mean? Oh yeah, yesterday I bought a bunch of Doge and it jumped 30 cents, doubling its value. So now I'm just giving you, I didn't do any work for it, but now you're getting what you want.
We are living in that world. There was a moment in January where in the same day, I was, walking through my apartment building. I overheard a conversation between two people. Oh yeah, my Doge investment's doing really well. Went to a restaurant. The waitress was talking about how her boyfriend made $1,000 from Doge. Everyone was talking about it and investing in it.
That's why I confidence is all that matters. People thought that for a while people were saying Litecoin was the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And Litecoin is particularly valuable. Bitcoin Cash is up significantly. But it's all about confidence. Bitcoin has confidence. Big companies have invested in Bitcoin infrastructure. Dogecoin has the second most level of confidence, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The issue is that there's so much Doge. There's a massive quantity of this. It's probably better to say Ethereum has more confidence, but I think Doge might be even more than Bitcoin, to be honest, for a few reasons. A regular person who looks at Bitcoin and sees $60,000 says, I can't buy it, because they don't realize that you can buy fragments. Mm-hmm. You can down to the eighth decimal point. But they see a Doge and they're like 60 cents. Oh, I'll put $10 in.
Yeah, and Doge is so volatile; it goes up and down so steeply that there's always going to be like a significant dip that you can buy in at.
Dude, it goes up and down so fast because of the meme. There are programs you can buy that's buy and trade on algorithms, and you press start, and at the end of the day, you made 10 grand.
Wow.
Because what it does is it has a certain amount of money and a certain amount of Doge, and it buys low and sells high automatically.
And looks for trends probably. Like when a tumbles start to happen, it'll get in and out.
It's really simple. It's like Doge hits, so like if there's a certain percentage spread, it'll sell when it's high. And then when it dips back down, it'll buy again. And then if it's a certain period of time where it's only going up, it'll just buy in and then sell high. And it keeps doing this, and it keeps increasing the amount of currency and Doge you have. So people have been doing this since the inception of cryptocurrencies. I remember back in the day, there was one website, I can't remember what it was called, but they had hundreds of clones of Bitcoin. And people would just make simple programs that would buy and trade whenever one would go up, it would go down, they'd buy, when it go up, they would sell, and they would do it with all the different currencies. People made a ton of money.
I got to find these Doge algorithms.
It's not even it's really simple. It's like if increase 5% sell, if decrease 5% buy. It's like really ridiculously simple. And so it just sits there tracking the current price, and it's going up and down, and then it buys, it sells, and then it buys, and it sells, and then it buys, and it slowly goes up, getting you more Doge and more cash. Mm. That's due to the volatility of Doge. I mean, day traders do this in general. You look for a particularly stock you think is going to spike, and then as soon as it does, you sell it immediately, and then move on, and you don't worry about it. But
I do wonder, like the Bitcoin bull market's been going on so long. When it goes down, it'll really go down.
No.
You think not?
Nope. I think a Bitcoin, it has its periods. It hit 20K a few years ago and then dropped down to like 7, and everyone was like, no. And some people mortgaged their homes and they were panicking. And that was a huge mistake, because if they had just held onto the Bitcoin, it would be 60. There were people who bought in at 20,000 and when it tanked, panicked and sold, thinking, I've lost everything.
Oh, yeah, of course. But my point is, like, as the market expands, as more people become participants in it, the panics grow more severe because there are more people panicking, more people selling.
What's going to happen is, so recently I think it dipped down to like 47 in the past couple of weeks. And then a bunch of institutional investors immediately were like, yes. And they bought it all up for discounts, knowing that it's going to go up. I think a Bitcoin will reach $1 million. And probably more than that, but I think $1 million at some point, and I think particularly soon, for two reasons. The buying power of the dollar is dropping dramatically, and the investment into Bitcoin infrastructure is going up dramatically. So that means the value of Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're literally gaining value as more and more people want them. The demand is high. But also, corn is up 44%. So if you're holding $1, you can only buy half as much corn. You're holding a Bitcoin, you can buy even more corn. So Bitcoin's going to go up. It's deflationary. There's a finite amount. Coins are lost every day. Demand is increasing. The price can only go up. And you know what? A 1 with 8 decimal points. 1 Bitcoin. And then you put a period, and then you do 8 zeros. You know what would happen if you got rid of that decimal point and put commas? You'd get 1,000,000.00. I think Bitcoin will hit $1 million. So that's just my opinion. I'm not telling anybody to do anything, but I'll tell you this. You do what you think is right. You talk to your financial advisor. I'm going to buy crypto. I'm also going to buy, you know what I invest in? Things I can use. Because I'll tell you one thing. An investment into cryptocurrency or gold or silver or anything like that is an investment predicated upon your belief the system will not collapse. The dollar may lose value. Inflation may happen, but you do believe you'll still be able to trade within the system. If you're actually worried about the apocalypse, then you need to invest in like a well, water tanks, 30-year bins of beans.
Bunker.
Yeah, bunker. 'Cause I'll tell you, if you imagine going, to the apocalypse and you're like, please, sir, I need water. I've got a Bitcoin. He's going to be like, I don't care how many Bitcoin you got. Like, water is life. Someone's going to walk up and be like, yo, I've got a sandwich. And they're going to be like, let's divide and trade the sandwich because food is more important.
Yeah, there are companies that sell luxury bunkers to people here in America.
Oh, yeah. There's old converted silos.
Oh, yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I was watching a Mr. Beast episode. You ever watch Mr. Beast? Where I think it was Mr. Beast. He goes to one of these bunker silos. It's creepy stuff. but they're like 5-foot concrete reinforced because they were meant for, missiles that wouldn't be blown up if they were, missile striked or whatever. And there was a beach room where the walls are painted. Then they have like bedrooms with TVs for windows so you can see outside. Yeah, that's cool stuff.
Yeah, some people went into like their bunkers, their luxury bunkers when COVID started. They thought the apocalypse was here.
Wow.
Yeah.
What other good things to get if you're expecting that? Like solar, I would think, like just some sort of like renewable energy electricity source and like a ham radio or something.
Some way to generate electricity.
Yeah, I know that.
Don't rely on fossil fuels.
Like solar yesterday we were talking about, but it's not really feasible as like a society's functioning electricity source. Not really, a little bit.
Solar?
Yeah, but if all of a sudden we couldn't pay our electric bill because U.S. dollars were so deflated in value that we can't even get them anymore.
That wouldn't happen, right? So the issue is the value of the currency will work to a certain degree within the country. It won't work for imports. So if your country is dependent upon importing certain goods, then you're in serious trouble. But trade between two individuals within the country is probably going to be fine. So the issue for a place like Venezuela is that they're dependent on a bunch of external corporations, like for flight, for travel, for transport. And it's increasingly becoming true for a lot of countries that you're dependent upon other countries' goods and services. So that being said, so long as you don't have a command economy like Venezuela, your farms will probably still produce, and they'll have to adjust prices for the things, that they need to produce this stuff. It could make it so that you have to work harder to get food, for sure, but you'll still be able to get electricity.
Lumber? Are we importing a bunch of lumber? Is that why it went up so much?
I do think we import lumber. I do, but I think we import a lot of it, actually. I'm not entirely sure.
You can use
supply
hemp.
shortages.
I think you can use hemp. I don't know if it's an exact duplication of wood. Like, you're not getting exactly what you get out of wood with hemp, but a hemp fiber you can kind of constitute for wood, I've heard. And it grows fast. Hemp does.
Well, the housing market is blowing up right now, so I mean that might be why the lumber.
What do you mean, like prices are skyrocketing?
Prices are skyrocketing. Yeah.
That's inflation.
Yeah.
And people are building houses.
People are building houses. Yep.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing that's going to happen. Because the cost of lumber and steel is so high, the cost to build a house is going to go up dramatically, which is going to drive the price of everyone else's houses way up. Now, here's the crazy thing.
Sounds like an asset bubble to me.
Yeah, well, check this out. Let's say you buy a house for $200,000 and you bought it, 5 years ago. Now the U.S. dollar is inflating like crazy. You still owe $200,000. If the buying power of that dollar is dramatically reduced, that means you owe less labor on your loan. And then your house is going to skyrocket in value because of inflation. So when you hear these people say, don't worry, inflation's a good thing. I guess, for Americans, because we basically control the petrodollar, might actually be. Now your savings will be completely decimated.
Right.
Yeah, so that's bad.
Your asset value through the roof.
Yep. The hard assets will retain their value. And what'll happen is, I'll put it this way. Ian, if I owe you $1, right now $1 can buy a candy bar. I say that basically I owe the amount of labor to produce one candy bar to Ian. I'm going to wait a year. Now $1 can't buy a candy bar anymore. It can only buy a quarter of a candy bar. I owe you less physical goods.
So are they gonna enforce like, yeah, we know you said you were gonna owe $100,000, but that $100,000's worth $400,000, so you owe us $400,000?
Nope,
they can't do that.
They can't do that. I mean, I guess if somebody has like a fixed variable loan, they can like drive the variable rate up for some reason or whatever. But I don't know how that works. So, but yeah, if you owe $100,000 on your house and then the currency inflates, and then within a year it hyperinflates, imagine people are shoveling money into the street because it's worthless. You go to your bank and you're like, here's the money I owe you, and you just shovel it off from the ground and throw it at them. So the system can't work that way.
People will take out loans to buy assets, and then when the asset triples in price, they'll sell off half of it, pay back the loan with a profit, take out rinse, repeat, age-old Ponzi scheme. I can't remember which outlet it was. It was an investor outlet. Said the good news for inflation is it means that your wages are going to start skyrocketing as well. And I'm like, it's funny that you think that's good news. It's good news for people with no savings. You got nothing to worry about. You got no savings, nothing's going to collapse on you. So it is technically a good thing. Now, for a lot of people who are like middle class, who have a decent savings, no real hard assets, it's pretty bad for you. So you don't want to be holding, well, I'm not going to give anyone advice on what they should do, but I'll just say I would not want to be holding US dollars, which is kind of a problem because, you use it for everyday interactions. But for poor people, they're probably not going to notice.
They're going to be like, the prices are going up. They're going to go to their job. I need a raise. The business is going to have to do it. Then, they work at Walmart. Then Walmart's going to have to increase the cost of goods across the board to pay higher salaries or to pay higher hourly wages. And then the people who have a loan out on their car are going to be like, wow, when I took this loan out for $10,000, I was making $10 an hour. 6 months later, I'm making $20 an hour. My loan was basically cut in half in terms of the amount of work I have to do to pay it off. So, hey, win for certain people, I guess. And then everyone else around the world will be forced to contend with our hyperinflation because we're America. We'll blow them up.
So banks, that would put a lot of burden on the banks that send out the loans. So would you expect that banks will stop giving out loans?
Say that one more time.
If the burden then would fall on the banks that loaned you $50,000, that's now only worth $25,000 when you pay it back.
That's their problem.
Does that mean that they're going to stop handing out loans because of that potential risk? Is that normally what happens before a?
If there's hyperinflation, yeah. maybe.
Another question this gets into is how long will America be able to just go around the world blowing up small countries without any serious opposition? China's rising very, very quickly.
Yep. Not long. I don't think not long. 15
years. I actually tend to be a...
15?
Maybe, something like that.
You mean 7?
Maybe.
2028 is when they're expecting China to overtake the U.S.'s economy. We know about Thucydides' trap, so...
I don't know. What were you going to say, Allum?
I think China it can be a little bit overrated. If you look at history, rising powers often don't beat the declining power because the declining power tends to have more allies and more diplomatic clout that it's built up over many years of being the dominant power. This is exactly what happened with Britain and Germany. Germany was on course to overtake Britain, its industrial capacity, before World War I. But Britain won because it had more allies, had an empire, had been around for longer, had all of those diplomatic resources that it turned into these alliances, and it was able to beat Germany through a coalition. You look at China. China's sort of on its own because America will have Japan, Taiwan, maybe South Korea. South Korea might not want to get involved because, it's much more vulnerable than, say, Japan, tripped by the ocean. But America will have a lot more. If it came to like a confrontation with China, America would have a lot more allies. And what allies would China really have?
Russia. It comes down to Russia. Again, the great wild card. Like if Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, he would have won the war. It's seemingly, at least the math kind of shows that.
Well, if he didn't hesitate. There was that famous battle or whatever where I can't remember exactly what happened.
Stalingrad. No. Moscow. They were
right.
They were like 100
His
miles
generals,
outside Moscow, and then
right.
they said divert to Stalingrad, something like that.
They hesitated, allowing Russia to generate reinforcements.
Essentially, yes. They could have taken Moscow, but they decided to go elsewhere.
Man, well, hubris, I guess. He thought he could do what Napoleon couldn't.
But if Russia gets involved, then you could potentially start a whole domino effect where Europe gets involved as well, and then you have like a genuine world war on your hands.
Right.
Yeah. So invest in a bunker, I guess?
Yeah, invest in love with your friends and family.
We had a guy on from a place called Fortitude Ranch, and they called in their members like in October, just before the election, saying like the potential for volatility is higher than normal. I don't think they really expected the world to end, but they put out a call like a decently high single-digit percentage of something bad happening. Genuine fear that something. Look, this instability is not going to go away. You know why? I mean, you make a good point about the media being the problem. Brian Stelter is a dangerous guy. I think Cuomo's probably worse, but he is because he's trying to make sure that everyone stays agitated, anxious, and suffering from anxiety attacks all the time. Like, January 6th is over, dude. It's not happening anymore. It happened. It's gone away. But he wants to make sure these people only stare at this and these hearings, and people are just shaking, terrified of the far right. Meanwhile, there actually is a problem of far leftists going around rioting, protesting, burning down buildings, and they ignore that. So he's keeping people distracted from the real problems while keeping them in a consistent panic attack state over something that happened 4 months ago. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.